Hey, welcome back to the second episode, retitled Dave D's Random Watch. I had another title in mind, Double D's Random Watch, but a friend of mine rightfully reminded me of a particular clothing size that is used for ladies. So we're going to call this Dave's Random Movie Watch. So the last episode, the pilot episode, what I did was I drew at the end of that for the title of the movie that I was going to watch. I ended up drawing The Lost Boys. Something out of all my years of watching all these variety of movies, I've never seen The Lost Boys until a couple years ago. Was the first time I ever had a chance to watch it. And I really liked it back then. And it was just one of those things. It was, I think I just bought a Blu-ray player. So whenever there were Blu-rays that were in the $10 to $15 range, I picked it up, because back when Blu-rays were first coming out, when HD DVD players were a thing too, those were pretty good buys. So you better believe I'd buy it. It took me several years after that to watch it, and that happened to be one of my draws from the movie, my random movie watch. So, The Lost Boys is about vampire teenagers. It's directed by Joel Schumacher. The comic book people probably know him for ruining Batman and Robin. But this is one of the movies that put him on the map. This is the one that made him a very notable director in Hollywood. So the film has a family, the mom, Lucy, and her two sons, Michael and Sam, and they are heading to the fictional town of Santa Carla, the murder capital of the world. And in the movie, it hints at it. Well, not really hints. It's vampires. Vampires from the night coming down, taking their victims, because they need to feed on blood. So they think the two kids, they're not really into this California lifestyle. The grandpa's very different, a taxidermist. The mom's looking for a job, and Michael is just walking around, and he comes across a girl, Star, played by Jamie Gertz. Michael is played by Jason Patrick, and they meet up. Star is involved with David, who is Kiefer Sutherland's character, who happens to be a vampire. The mom, Lucy, ends up meeting Max, who runs a VHS store, which was really cool to see. If you think about this, in 1987, videos were still pretty new, not that new, but that was, people were making a lifestyle out of, whether it would be home rental stores or just selling stores, which back then VHS tape off the market would cost like $29.99 and sometimes more, and that's 1987 money. So think about that one there. And so she meets Max. She likes Max, and they try to go on some dates. And then her son, Sam, the younger one, played by Corey Haim, happens to be in a comic book store where the Frog Brothers kind of intercept him and kind of tell him what the town's like with the vampires. And these kids are pretty hardcore. Corey Feldman plays the Edgar Frog. And what's interesting with Corey Feldman is I remember seeing him in other movies where he was younger in Gremlins and Friday the 13th Part 4. And then I jumped to like The Burbs where he's, maturing as an adult. And this movie, he's in between that, where he's in between his growth. And it was just odd seeing that, because I've been used to him either being the kid, or I was used to him being, right at early adult. So those two kids, they're kind of filling Sam's head with this vampire nonsense. Michael ends up getting involved with David and his friends, and they kind of initiate him in being a vampire. And that, the initiation, it seemed like he drank what he thought was wine. It turns out to be blood, and it kind of gives him the start of his abilities to be the vampire. And then in the process of that, his brother becomes suspicious because he's sleeping in late. He doesn't want to do anything. The mom's kind of oblivious because she's on cloud nine with Max. And then Sam keeps hearing about head vampires, and they think that Max, played by Edward Herman, who many of you would remember from narrating the History Channel before he passed away, and they begin to set up like not traps. They kind of test, when they invite Max for dinner. The Edgar brothers come over along with with the date and in the house, and instead of Parmesan cheese, it's grated garlic. Is the test. He passed the test, so he's not the head vampire. And in the process of that, they believe the head vampire may be Kiefer Sutherland's character. So what happens with that? They go to their lair, and they end up killing one of them. I call him the Bill Vampire because Alex Winter from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. They get spewed with all sorts of blood. It's pretty neat. And one thing that I found very fascinating about this scene, when they're all running out after Michael gets Star, they believe if they kill the head vampire that they'll be break of the curse, because they're not full vampires yet, because he refuses to feed. Star refuses to feed. So as they're running out, I noticed they had sparkles in their blood, like sparkling blood for vampires. I'm pretty sure the same crowd that absolutely loves this movie are the same people who scoff at the idea of sparkling vampires in the Twilight film series, which that's in here somewhere, so I'm going to get to it someday. And I just found that really fascinating. And so our characters, they're getting ready for the fight because they know it's coming. And then everybody, when night falls, they have their big battle, which is pretty gory. Interesting things going on in that fight. I really enjoyed it. And of course, then we find out who the head vampire was all along. I really liked this movie a lot. It took me a while to watch it because I would compare it to a movie called Near Dark, and I've seen that one first for the simple reason that it had pretty much the whole cast of aliens in it, and it was a vampire film along the same lines but more serious. This one was more fun and fascinating to watch. I loved it. The music, the use of music was really good. Joel Schumacher really knows how to make a movie. Say what you want about Batman and Robin, but I will defend Batman Forever as being a really good movie. And in fact, it was this movie, The Lost Boys, is what got him the job for Phantom of the Opera. And he was supposed to make that movie in the late 80s, but stuff happened, and then you fast forward all the way to 2004, Joel Schumacher finally got to make that movie. So this put Joel Schumacher on the map. He deserves any praise and credit for this movie, because a lot of the stuff in this comes from him, but he's a very humble person, so he gives a lot of credit to the actors, where it could be due there too, but the actors do their job based off of his direction, and he did very good in this. The score was by Thomas Newman of the Newman Brothers, and it was pretty good. I mean, there's not much to it, because he filled Schumacher filled the movie mostly with song soundtrack. So, and all the songs in there were perfect. Everything fit perfectly. So I'll finish this up here. Great movie. I'd definitely watch it again without picking it, because I forgot how much I really liked it. And there are 2 sequels, but unless if they end up in my collection, I have no desire or plan to watch them. It's not that I've heard bad things about it. It's just being direct to video, I don't think anything will pass this. So until next time, this is Dave D's Random Watch. Changing the name again, but at least this time I got a name for the show. We'll see you later. Thanks a lot.